Yeah. All right, we're going to go ahead and begin tonight. We're grateful for your presence. This is the congregational plan, and this is the nuts and bolts of the School of Evangelism Strategy presented to congregations literally all around this country. This is what makes it happen. If you don't get this part of the seminar is going to die as fast as it rose. So this is an extremely important part of the training. We're going to present to you what we call the 10-point plan, turning your congregation into an evangelistic machine. We want to rewire the congregation to make evangelism the centerpiece of everything that you do. We want to take the congregation from A to Z and make evangelism the centerpiece of the plan, so that when you enact the evangelistic strategy, you're involving every church member. Everyone's involved: widows, widowers, older, younger, preachers, elders, members. If you don't get the members on board, this is dead in the water. If this becomes a preacher affair, you're dead in the water. If you put this on the back of your elders, you're dead in the water. This is sustained unless you get a congregational approach. Now that's a tall order. Turn a ship, you don't turn it on a dime, you turn it 1 degree at a time. So this is a 1 degree at a time attempt to turn the ship. So we're going to begin this evening with a word of prayer. Would you bow with me? Our Father, we're thankful for the attendance tonight of each soul that's represented, for the opportunity to train the Oak Hill Church of Christ, Father, to focus their efforts on soul winning, to enhance what they're already doing. We thank you for their good preacher, Michael, for the eldership here, for every deacon, the members that are here. We thank you, Father, for their love, passion, and commitment. We just pray, Father, that this church, Father, would grow, and Father, that the contacts being made would be cultivated, and the studies that are being done would turn themselves, Father, that we would see conversion. We thank thee, Father, for your love, your grace, and your mercy. We thank thee, Father, for the opportunity to open thy word, and Father, to take the strategy of the New Testament and to make it, Father, real and authentic, and to make it, Father, practical, and that we can take the gospel to our communities right here. And Father, we pray that we could take this to our home churches, and we give thee thanks for the opportunity to be your servants. For in Jesus' name we pray, amen. It was Winston Churchill who said, "He who fails to plan is planning to fail." If you don't have a congregational plan for evangelism, it's not going to happen. Relying on your preacher to do all your evangelism is a pastoral model that fails. And so by implementing a 10-step or 10-point plan in the local church, you're going to head the ship in the right direction. It normally takes a congregation about 6 months in order to enact all the things that we're going to talk about during this session. And so this requires a lot of discipline. It's going to require a lot of intention by the eldership. It's very easy to relapse. It's easy to get back to the status quo. It's easy to go back into what is comfortable, what you've been doing for years. To change like this is going to take a concerted effort. So the pulpit is going to have to be involved. The eldership is going to have to be behind it. And the members are going to have to be willing to work it. But if this plan is carried out, as we're going to present it tonight, you're going to see a dramatic change in your local church. You're going to see a focus unlike you have ever seen before. You're going to see excitement and enthusiasm as you have never seen. It doesn't matter if you're a congregation of 500, and I've done several of those this year. If you're a congregation of 20, it doesn't matter. Because in this respect, evangelism is not confined by size. It's not confined by locale. It's not confined by race. It doesn't matter what country you live in. If you enact an evangelistic strategy, you're going to find success. Number one, the first thing your church needs to do is get the evangelism tools. Brethren, you cannot evangelize if you do not have the tools to do the job. And I have a sneaky suspicion, because I've seen it in this church building. You have everything you need. You have salt and pepper. You have sugar and coffee pots. You got coffee filters. You got tablecloths. You got tables. You got microwave. You got oven. You got refrigerator. You got snacks. You got forks, knives, and spoons. You got paper plates, napkins, paper cups. You got everything you need to turn this church into a soup kitchen. You know, churches of Christ all over this country are well prepared to feed. We're well prepared for fellowship meals. We're well prepared to teach Bible class. We got laminators and scissors and glue, and we got poster board and contact paper. We've got Elmer's glue. We got glue sticks. We got glue dots. We got construction paper, safety scissors, teacher scissors, laminators. We've got hole punchers, copy machines. We got it all. We could open a school up tomorrow. I want to know where your evangelism material is. Brethren, for a church to do its job, it must have the material. It's got to have Bible studies. Members aren't going to just pull it out of the blue. You're going to have something to provide them. Members aren't just going to come up with it on their own. And so for years, congregations have been suffering because they're ill-equipped. What kind of soldier goes out to the battlefield without the equipment? What kind of soldier goes to war, but he doesn't have the belt, he doesn't have the armor, he doesn't have the magazines or the food or the proper footing, or he doesn't have the proper support gear? A soldier that loses. And so a church that doesn't have the equipment, it's not going to work. But yet we have some of the best equipment the church has ever seen. Brother, I want you to think about it. In the history of the Church of Christ, have we had better tracts? Have we ever had better magazines? Have we ever had better Bible study materials? Has it ever looked better? I mean, it is at the production level, and we've never been worse off. We're not using it. Most churches of Christ, they don't have it. It's placed into a library. It's placed in the back of a filing cabinet, if at all. Members aren't looking at it. They're not trained. They don't know they don't even know what it is. And so the number one thing a church can do before you do anything else is you must have the tools. You can't build a shop, you can't build a barn, you can't build a house if you don't have the hammer, you don't have the level, you don't have the saw, you don't have the lumber. You got to have it. And so for a church to accomplish her mission, she's got to be equipped. You need Bibles. And that should be without saying. You need Bibles to give in Bible studies. You need, when a person becomes a Christian, you need to have a Bible and present it to them with their name engraved on it. You need to have Bible presentation. I don't know why it is when people become Christian. Brother, that's a celebration. I mean, we're celebrating when people become Christian. You had 2 souls become a Christian. And in this coming week, nice Bible. I'm not talking about the Dollar General Bible. I'm talking about, we call Christian Family Bookstore, and we get the name engraved, and we say, send us your finest Bible you got. And when the worship service is over, we call them up and say, I want to talk to you about these 2 souls who obeyed the gospel. Brethren, you'll lose them as fast as you got them if you don't begin immediately trying to keep them and build them up in the most holy faith. Bibles, simple things like this. Back to the Bible. Does it matter? I mean, how many tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people become Christians because of things like Back to the Bible, Jewel Miller, Open Bible Study? We have the best tools the church has ever had. We need to have materials like tracts and door hangers, house to house, heart to heart, evangelism, simplified guidebooks, whatever it is. We need it. We can't be successful without it. Number 2, we got to put it in a highly visible place. It ought not to be shoved aside. It ought not to be in a coat closet. It ought not to be in some elder's office. It ought not to be in the preacher's office, out of the library, because no one goes to the library anymore. Brethren, you ought to put it in a place where people have to trip over it to get out of the building. They can't get past it. When they walk into the building, it's staring right in front of them. And in fact, it's the centerpiece. It's the point of the church. It is the mission of the church. I want you to consider, several years ago that I went to a congregation and I asked the elders, I said, brethren, if I wanted to do a Bible study at this church, if I was one of the members, I said, man, I'm a friend of mine, I wanted to study. Can you help me? Do you got any Bible study tools for me? Preacher, we are prepared. I said, well, let me see what you got. He said, follow me. And I followed him down this long hallway, and he got at the ring of keys. Have you ever seen the ring of keys, gentlemen? He got at the ring of keys. We got to the door. He said, got to unlock it. And he's going through the keys. You know, we took 30 seconds to get to the key. We finally got there. He says, all right. I said, well, where are they? He said, they're in the locker. So we walked to the end of the room and got to the locker, got out the ring of keys. It's locked. We went through the ring of keys. We finally opened up the locker. He said, don't worry, preacher. He pulled them out from the top shelf. He pulled out a stack of Back to the Bible. preacher? He says, I knew you. We ordered them. I said, brother, can I ask you why the Bible study material to teach people the gospel is locked in a room and locked in a locker on the top shelf? He said, oh, yes, we were afraid someone might get them. Isn't that the point? Don't we want our church members getting to the evangelism material so we can do Bible studies? I don't know why we hide them in an office and lock it up. Put it out there when people can get it. I mean, I want you to put it in it ought to be the centerpiece. Put a table skirt out there. Evangelism materials. Make sure the members have access to it, number 3. By the way, here's some pictures of what an evangelism table looks like. You get it out there. You put all the tools that are needed in order to be successful. Number 3, you train them how to use it. I mean, what good is a tool if you don't know how to use it? I mean, you can equip your soldiers with all sorts of modern technology. You can give them the latest weaponry. You can give them the best communication equipment. If they don't know what to do with it, it's worthless. Brethren, put a DeWalt drill in the hands of a carpenter, and it's a beautiful tool. Put it in my hands, it's a dangerous weapon. I don't know what to do with it. I'm not trained to use all those beautiful tools. You got to train your church members. Most of our church members don't know what to do with this stuff. In fact, they're scared to death of it. And when they look at a Bible study tool like Back to the Bible, they're like, I don't know if I can use that. That's for preachers. So we gotta get it out to the church members where they can actually use it. We gotta put it into their hands where they can actually take it and sit down with somebody and have a Bible study. It's imperative that we do that. If a person doesn't know how to use a tool, the tool doesn't have any value at all. So one of the first things we ask churches to do is this. I want you to put Back to the Bible in the hands of every church member. Train them how to use it. You pass it out to every church member you've got. You put your preacher in the pulpit and you say, preacher, I want you to train the church how to use Back to the Bible. If your preacher cannot train the church how to use Back to the Bible, for him, because it's that fundamental. If your preacher doesn't know how to do that, he doesn't belong in your pulpit. It's the most fundamental and important steps of Christianity. We're going back to the foundation of who we are. I had one elder said, I don't think our preacher can do it. I said, I don't think he should be in your pulpit. I think she should get somebody else. This is essential. See, unless you want to put it on the preacher's back, you got to get your members involved. They're not going to do it if they don't know what to do. And so it's imperative that we have training. So anytime you go to work and they have a new tool, what do? They train you, right? Why don't we do that in the church? I don't understand why we don't do the very things that make your business successful. Why aren't we here? You think by putting out a bunch of evangelism materials on a table, they're just going to grab it and use it? No, they're not. In fact, they're probably scared to death of it. Number 4, you need to promote an evangelistic atmosphere among the brethren. You got to promote it. You got to use the promotional tools that God has given, because God has given you promotional tools. It's called benevolence. Brother, there isn't a better promotional tool that we can offer than benevolence. I mean, think about it. What an attractive place to be when the Church of Christ can reach out to its local community and say, listen, we're here to help. There are people all over this town who are hurting. And what better place to go than the Oak Hill Church of Christ? I'm talking, we're a better source than any government agency can ever hope to be. I mean, we care about them. I mean, we want to work with them. And so if we can create that appeal and show them that we care about who they are and what they're doing, that's what we did this afternoon. We took those benevolent sheets around the community and we said, listen, we're here to help. We're wanting to assist. What can we do to help you? Let me give you a quick strategy that will immediately change your benevolent work overnight. You know, when I was preaching full time, benevolence was as an albatross around my neck. I mean, I didn't like it. You know why? It took my time. They'd call me up and, have you ever noticed, Michael, they always run out of gas in your parking lot? They're always going to New York. And they say, well, I'm a Christian. I'm a member of the Church of Christ. Now, my reverend back home, you know you're being taken for a ride. He said, well, name me your preacher. You'd never heard of him. Name me the congregation. Never heard of it. You know they're taking advantage of you. But yet you don't. Man, you want to help somebody. And you're in a really difficult spot, and they know it. No more. We're not doing that anymore. Every time you get a benevolent call from this day forward, let me give you a 30-second strategy that works brilliantly. Hello? My name's Bob, and hey, do you guys help people over that church? Oh, yes, sir. Do you pay light bills? Absolutely. Do you pay off cars? 100%. You pay off mortgages? Oh, yes, sir. Come and talk about it. Yes, sir. Do you help pay gas? Yes, sir. Come. And sir, you pay? He said, man, I love that. He said, when do you do it? He said, we do it every Wednesday night at 7 o'clock, and I can't wait to see you. Huh? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We do that on Sunday mornings at 9:30. I can't wait to see you. Huh? Yeah. But, sir, I can't wait to Wednesday night. I'm so sorry. There's some government services. I'm sure they can hold you over. But we do our benevolence on Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. And, brethren, when they walk in your door, you have a church member with back to the Bible, and you go to a room and you do a Bible study. Brethren, if we can't do Bible studies during Bible classes, we just need to sell the building. Bible studies ought to be going on when we do benevolence. Every time someone says, we need help, I'm saying, I'll be glad to help you. Whatever it is you're asking for, I'll be glad to help you. For me to provide that help, I need to sit down and find out where you are spiritually. Now, when you're done with that Bible study that night, here's what we're going to do. We're going to let you meet with our elders. And our elders will decide how much help they can provide. We're going to help you. But don't you think that when Jesus fed the 5,000, he wanted to do a little bit more than solve their hunger problems? Friends, they were going to be hungry in 24 hours. The Lord had something a little bit deeper. The Lord had something just a little bit more important that he wanted to do. And in order for us to be able to achieve the evangelistic strategy that we're placing before churches, we have got to show kindness. In 47, praising God and having favor with all the people. You've got to be favorable. People have to know you care. So benevolence is a tremendous outreach. But you take your benevolent work and you separate it from evangelism, you're no better than Habitat for Humanity. And I'm all for Habitat for Humanity, but brethren, they're not saving souls. You're no better than the local soup kitchen, and I'm all for the soup kitchen, but they're not saving souls. Your job is to save souls. Do not separate your benevolence from evangelism. Jesus said the poor will always be with you. You're not going to solve world poverty at all. It'll bankrupt you. In fact, that's not your mission. Your mission is to help people. Why are you wanting to help people? Well, I'm going to help people because I want to get to their soul. It's hard to teach someone the gospel on an empty stomach, isn't it? So if I got to take them out to eat, I'm going to take them out to eat. You know, how many churches have benevolent ministries just like this? We got benevolent buildings, benevolent vouchers, benevolent pantry boxes, backpack drive, teacher supplies, turkey giveaways, winter coat drives. I mean, members of the Church of Christ are some of the kind on the face of the earth. How many baptisms are you having because of these works? Most churches have none. We have zero. You know, I tell you what, I love what Howard's done at the Crossville Church of Christ. They've connected benevolence to evangelism. You ought to come talk to Howard about that. If you want to have a Bible study, you want help, we'll be glad to help you. Come on down. We're going to study the Bible together. You're going to find out who's serious. You know, if they really need help, they're not going to have a problem studying the Bible. They're not going to have any issues opening up the scriptures and reading John 8:32. And so it's not that we're not opposed to benevolence, but I want our benevolence to be intentional. I want our benevolence to be evangelistically focused. I want our benevolence to be something that will help people in a deeper way than just helping feed their stomach. And so this is an important step to take because you are now creating contacts. What does benevolence do? It creates contacts and it prospects them. In other words, it loves them. Brethren, we're going to love them into the church. Who would not want to say no to benevolence? Since I've been at Jacksonville, and all the examples I'm going to give you tonight are Jacksonville examples. In Jacksonville, you know, we've gotten call after call for help. People get house to house, heart to heart, and we get a phone call. Deborah Rice usually takes it. She'll call me immediately. She said, Rob, we just got a phone call, and there's a lady. Her name's Kim, and she needs a little benevolent help. And she also asked for a ride to church. I said, well, we'll be glad to get her. So we started giving Kim a ride. And I said, Kim, is there anything that you need? Is there something that we can help you with? And she said, well, yes. She said, I tell you what, I could use a little food. I said, well, let's go get the food, Kim. And we'll go. Well, we don't have any problems with that. And we take her down to the local store. We got her a little bit of food and took her back to her place. And I said, Kim, could we take you to church tonight? She said, sure, I'd love to come to church tonight. So we picked her up for church that night, and we started spending a little bit more time and visiting with her. After a couple of weeks, I was sitting there with Kim. We were going out to eat. Always eat. Hey, Kim, would you like to know more about the Jacksonville Church of Christ? Boy, I sure would. What are the odds she say no? No, I don't like that church. Brother, you help someone like that. You endear yourself to them. You show them what being a Christian's all about. Man, they're going to want to know more about the church every single time. I just so happen to have these booklets, Kim. Honey, get the Bibles. We sat down around the table. We passed out back to the Bible. We started our Bible study. And the first thing I noticed is that Kim can't read. She can't see it. She was doing this to her Bible. And I said, Kim, you got some eye problems? I can't see. I'm glad I don't have any glasses. Well, she said, my prescription's out. I can't use them anymore. They give me headaches. And I said, well, Kim, what's keeping you from getting glasses? She said, I don't have the money. And I said, all right, Kim. I said, why don't we find out how much some glasses are? She says, well, I think it's $100 for 2 pairs. And I said, all right. I said, make the appointment. She said, I don't have the money. I didn't ask that. I said, make your appointment. Nicole took her out the next day, got her glasses. When she got her glasses, we came back to the house. We sat around the table. We opened our Bibles, and now she's reading John 8:32. What do you think she did when we finished study 3? Number five on the list. You have got to develop a contact package. You have got to get contacts. The strategy we teach at House to House, Heart to Heart is threefold. It is bring them. 70% of your effort is right there. This is it. This is the crux of the lesson tonight. I'm going to spend more time on point 5 than any point I'm going to make tonight. Now, the other strategies in House to House, Heart to Heart, School of Evangelism is teach them and keep them. Those are very important. So we're going to bring them, we're going to teach them, and we're going to keep them. It's an all A to Z strategy. So let's go ahead and look at producing contacts. How do we produce contacts? We produce contacts, well, how about use House to House, Heart to Heart? I mean, I think we've all seen it in person this week. How many contacts we got just from the magazine, House to House, Heart to Heart. There are a variety of things that you can do to produce contacts. I want to share with you just a couple of them. The publication, House to House, Heart to Heart, is important because it puts you on the map. If they don't know you're here, they're not coming. Now, I don't know if you've realized this or not, but when you go to a hotel room, there aren't any white pages. They're not there anymore. There's no yellow pages. There's no phone book. You know what there is? There's the internet. And you're going to Google, right? You're going to try to find a Church of Christ. And so one of the things that House to House does is put you on the map. You see, we're going to send that right into their mailbox. We can do it every month. And on the front of that House to House magazine, we're going to put your contact information. I do a little experiment in most churches. I didn't do it here because I figured you guys have it, you got to have it right. But I want to tell you about the experiment I do when I go into churches. I look for their House to House, Heart to Heart. I grab it, and I'm going to pretend I'm a visitor, and I try to call the phone number. You'd be shocked how many times the phone number is disconnected. You'd be shocked how many times the phone number doesn't get a human being. The phone number gets a message machine that's never checked and never returned. Can you imagine if you had a business and you operated like that? You had a business and you're trying to sell a product, but we can never get you. And every time we try to call you, I get a machine. And then I go to the website, it doesn't work. I go to the Facebook, it doesn't work, it's not kept up. Then I look for other information. I start looking for alternate phone, not there. I look for services. I went to the last congregation I went to in Texas as a congregation of 300 plus people. And I said, well, man, they got to have a lot of services offered here. They had 0. It was blank. I'm a visitor, and I wouldn't even know how to get there. Friends, this publication will put you on the map. We send it into the house of every person in the mailing area. They're going to know exactly how to May I suggest that you put a phone number on there that gets a human being? Put your preacher's phone number on there. I don't believe Michael would have a problem. He got a phone call at 8 o'clock at night and says, hey, I've just moved into the area, got this publication. Could you tell me a little bit more about your church? Would that upset you, Michael? I love those calls. You know, I don't want to get an answer machine that says, we're only in the office, Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 8 to 2. I don't want that. I don't want that answering service. I want a human being. I want to talk to somebody. I just got back from a seminar, and I looked over and I saw this lady, and she was sitting in the pew, and Alan had just finished preaching. So I walked back with Alan. I said, hey, Alan, who is that? And he said, Rob, while you've been gone, they visited. And I said, who is it? He said, I think her name's Ellen. And Nicole wasn't with me that morning. She was visiting her mom and dad and with Jared and Hannah. And so I strategically placed myself in the way. She can't escape. So she turns around, she starts walking out, and she immediately comes up to me, and she looks. I say, ma'am, my name's Rob. Are you visiting this morning? She said, well, I sure am. My name's Ellen. I said, well, man, Ellen, nice to have you here. I said, did you enjoy the service today? She said, well, I sure did. She said, you know that preacher of yours, he uses a lot of Bible. I said, oh, he loves the Bible. And I said, you love the Bible? Oh, yes, I like the Bible. And I said, are you here alone? Oh, well, yes, my husband wasn't feeling well. I said, you guys live in the local, just down the road. She's checking every box I'm looking for. So now I'm starting to form my plan. I said, man, Ellen, I wish my wife was here to meet you and my children. And she says, you know what? She says, do you guys have an evening service? Thank God we weren't closed. And I said, yes, ma'am. We have an evening service at 6 o'clock. I said, we'd love to have you come on. And she said, you know what? I'm going to bring my husband tonight. I said, well, my wife will be back. I called Nicole. I said, Nicole, get back. I said, we got one. And so Nicole gets back from mom and dad's, and the kids come, and I'm forming my strategy, right? I said, honey, we're looking for them. They're right there. There they walked in, and I walked over and introduced Nicole and Perry, and I said, hey guys, we just so happen to have this custom. We love to take visitors out to eat. Could we take you guys out to eat? And I said, Perry, what's your favorite restaurant? He said, man, I like a Fina's, a little expensive. I said, no problem. I said, we're going to a Fina's. He said, well, stomach's hurting a little bit. Can we put that off to next week? I said, absolutely. Rain check. I'll make the reservation. She says, we'll be back. So next Sunday, we just so happened to be in town again, and they walked into the service. They sat down. I walked up to them after service. I looked at Perry. I said, you guys ready for a Fina's? They said, absolutely. So we go over to, brethren, I could care less about the lasagna. All I want is a Bible study, and I'm going to get it. I sit down around that table, and I'm looking. I'm probing. Find common ground. Hey, Perry, what do you think about football? He said, I don't watch it anymore. I said, me neither. I said, what do you think about the NBA? He says, off too slow. I said, what do you like, Perry? He said, I like college football. I said, man, that's exciting. I said, what's your favorite team? He says, it's Alabama, Nick Saban. Oh, man, I love Alabama. And man, if I got to love Alabama to get a Bible study, I'll love Alabama. I don't care what it is. All I want is to get into the Bible with this man. Man, I said, Nick Saban's a good coach. I said, there's no doubt the man knows how to win, right? So we start talking. Perry, I said, tomorrow is the national championship game of Clemson and LSU. I have an idea. Ouch, what was that? That was Nicole kicking my shin because she knows exactly what I'm about to do. Nicole is going to hold a football party tomorrow. She's going to cook the beanies and the weenies and all the mustard and all. Oh, man, we're going to get chips and dips. It's coming. I said, Perry, you and Ellen have got to come. I said, we got this big screen in our house. And I said, we love to watch the football games on the big screen. I said, you've never seen a football game until you have 7 speakers surround sound and a subwoofer. He said, wow. He said, Ellen, can we come? And she says, well, I don't see why not. I said, I can't wait to see you. I gave him the address, and we got ready. I could care less about the football game. You know what I want? We sat down in my house and we started watching that football game. The football game got out of hand. I said, hey, guys, I'm going to mute it. And I looked over. This is what I asked. I said, Perry, Ellen, a lot of churches in Jacksonville. I said, why did you guys pick the Jacksonville Church of Christ? She says, 21 years ago, Rob, we moved to Jacksonville. And you guys have been sending this house to house, heart to heart every month to our door. She says, I love it. I said, why do you love it? It's all about the Bible. She said, Rob, my church doesn't follow the Bible anymore. I said, it doesn't. She says, it stopped doing it. She said, they changed their definition of marriage. They changed their, she said, Rob, it's disgusting. And I said, Ellen, would you like to know more about the Jacksonville church? I sure would. I just so happened to have these booklets. Honey, grab the Bibles. What do you think they did 3 weeks later? Brethren, they're more faithful than most of our church members. And by the way, do you want to know why our new converts are faithful? Because we have an A to Z plan. We just don't drop them off the side of the road after they're baptized. We have a concern. In fact, one of our members is here tonight, Eric Shear. One of his jobs at Jacksonville is new converts. That's his job. He knows that's his job. When we got new converts, Eric is going to get out there and start new convert studies. We're going to do mentoring during the week. He takes them out to eat. In fact, he calls them up and says, let's go on Friday night. Let's go to a singing. I know you do that. And then on Sundays, we got a special class just for new converts. It's essential that the church focus on this. We're going to promote your events. And I want you to put events on the back page that actually attract people. Let's put in things that are going to get the attention of the local community. Like, maybe a marriage and family seminar. Maybe, let's talk about apologetic issues, why we believe in God. Something that's going to get the attention of people out here in your community and cause a summer series on a variety of topics. And someone might see that topic and say, man, I want to come. We've had people come just because of a topic. Inside, you're going to have a quiz and you're going to have an opportunity to select material that we'll deliver to you. Do you know what the worst thing you can do when someone requests materials? Mail it to them. It's the worst thing. Do not mail things. In fact, Deborah Rice, she called me. I've been to Jacksonville about 6 weeks, or about 6 months, excuse me. She says, Rob, I understand I'm supposed to let you know when we got house-to-house contact. I said, yes, ma'am. She said, well, we got one. She said, now, traditionally, we just mail them the material. I said, don't do that. We always mail it. And I said, that's why we don't baptize. I said, just put it in my box. And I said, Deborah, I'll get there. I promise you I'll hand deliver it. So she put it in my box. Deborah says, all right, I'll put it in your box. And she put it in my box. And Nicole and I went down to the church. We grabbed the materials and we started looking for a name. Her name is Brenda. It took me a while to find Brenda. The address was not the best. With a little bit of help of some neighbors, I finally tracked her down. I don't give up easily. And I finally find Brenda's house, and I knock on the door, and I move aside because I want the first face that they see to be Nicole. She opens the door, sees Nicole, and smiles. Now, she sees me, and and I said, ma'am, my name is Rob, and this is my wife, Nicole, and we're from house to house, heart to heart, and you asked for some marriage materials, and we're here to deliver it. Oh, that's so sweet. Well, it was really nice of y'all to come bring I said, yes, ma'am. Are you new to the community? Well, I just moved here. I said, wonderful. Sir, did not just mail the materials. Well, I said, I couldn't have met you. And I said, I think it's more personal when that's really, I said, ma'am, have you just got married? Yes, sir. Got married just a couple weeks ago. I said, well, wonderful, Brenda. And she says, I said, well, was your husband home? Well, he sure is. She said, I need a question. Well, sure. She said, do you know anything about the Bible? I said, just a little bit. And she says, good, because my husband knows nothing about the Bible. Daniel, get in here. That man's been on the couch ever since he went home. What does he do all day? Daniel, get up out of that couch. These people are here to teach you the Bible. I was about blown over. And I looked at Nicole, and she looked at me, and I said, ma'am, when would you like to start? She said, what about tomorrow? I said, we'll make the chocolate chip cookies, and we'll bring them. And do you know what that one knock on the door did for me? Baptism after baptism after baptism after baptism after baptism, and we just kept going. I can't wait to tell you more about this. What do you think would have happened if we'd have mailed it or did nothing and let it sit in our box? We actually get phone calls at Jacksonville from churches from way 1,000 miles away. What do we do with this contact? Brethren, if you don't know what to do with the contact, we need to do a self-examination. They're reaching out to you. That's the whole purpose. House to house is not designed for them to jump into the baptistry. That's called a Bible study. But it will give you contacts to prospect. One of the things that house allows us to do is target people. You know what that means? We've done that all week. We take specific people, addresses, and names, and we put them on the contact list. And we start sending them the magazine, and then we follow up with it. We not only can send house to house to an entire mailing district, we can send it to individual houses all over the community. It's a wonderful tool. We have a door knocking day on October the 2nd, and man, I love the door knocking issue. Matt, you guys have done an incredible job with that. That door knocking issue is designed to get right to the heart of the matter. I mean, you got salvation all the way through it. The cross is all the way through it. It's beautiful. I hope you're participating in that. If you're not, will you register? Go to housetohouse.com, register for the door knocking day. You know, the first time we did this, we had 600 churches of Christ. Is that right, Matt? Churches of Christ were involved in this. Our goal this year is over 1,000. We want to get 1,000. You know, because of that door knocking effort, there were people who were baptized. I have a sneaky suspicion there are going to be people baptized because of this door knocking effort. You can be involved in new movers. That's a contact maker. We're going to send you a list of people who move into your community. And once you get that list, we're not just going to get the list. We're going to send them a new movers house to house. We're going to send them a new movers postcard. We're going to overwhelm them with love. We're going to go visit them. We're going to introduce the love of the church. We're going to love them into the church. We're going to show up at their door. We're going to do this tomorrow, by the way. You know what your ladies are doing right now? My wife went shopping in the name of the Lord this week. She loves to shop in the name of the Lord. It's a beautiful thing. Did you know you can do that? You can go and you can get stuff for the church. You can teach your lady. Now, brethren, you don't want to go shopping in the name of the Lord. That's the last thing you want to do. But your wives would love to do it. And you can give them the list. Say, honey, I want you to go to the store for the church, and I want you to get all these items. And all those items on those tables out in that hallway, they're going to assemble them. Do you know what we're going to do tomorrow? We're going to go to 27 doors. And we're going to knock, and we're going to say, welcome to the community. I'm a local Christian in your area, and we're glad you're here. And we just wanted to offer you this gift. And we're going to see what kind of needs they have. By the way, do you have a church home? Because if you don't, I'd love to talk to you about a great church in your area. It was David Shannon who said people are most likely to change churches when they move. A couple of generations ago, if a couple or a family or an individual moved from one city to another city, they usually stayed with that same denomination. Those days are over. It doesn't matter to me what denomination they were in the last town. Your average person today is willing to look at any church in their community. This is a powerful opportunity for evangelism. It doesn't matter to me what church they were in last town. I want them to visit the Church of Christ because it's going to give us the best opportunity to sit down with them and study the Word of God. I can't think of a better contact than someone who just moves into your community. Can you imagine if I gave you an address of someone who moved down the road, maybe a street over, and you show up with your wife. She's made chocolate chip cookies. Always the key. You knock on the door. I just live down the road. Welcome to the community. What a powerful, welcoming message that is. We send them a postcard. We send them house to house. You send them the new movers basket. And then you start overwhelming them with cards. Let's talk about compassion cards. Because this right here produces like just about no other ministry in the church if it's done correctly. I'm not talking about some at-large card ministry where you got a few ladies who go home and write cards or you get the secretary to do it. None of that works. It's all failure. It's a checkbox item. So you got to put it together properly. You got to get your contract involved. You got to get every member doing it. And I don't want them to get one card with 20 signatures. I want them to get cards. I want them to be overwhelmed with cards. Because when they get that much love from the church, it's going to be really hard to resist it. So we're going to create a contact list. We're going to put centers on it. We're going to organize teams. We're going to get cards that have appropriate messages on them that talk about whether it be a visitor, whether it be someone who needs to be encouraged because they're discouraged, prayers, get well, sympathy, thinking of you, welcome to the community. Now let's think about this. So the person who moves into the community gets a postcard, house to house, heart to heart, a new mover's basket, and then we overwhelm them with cards. What are the odds that they just might visit? Well, if they're going to visit any church, it's going to be yours. Bettina had cards all over her place. When Nicole and I walked into her place, we saw those cards laying everywhere. Do you know how easy it was for me to get a Bible study? We took her to church, and we helped clean her place up a little bit. She had some health problems. But man, she'd tell us about the cards. Hey, Rob, I got to show you these cards I got today in the mail. I got 6 cards from that church. She'd read them to me. And she had them all over the place. In fact, I said, Bettina, can I get a picture of the cards? Because this is a teaching moment. And I said, Bettina, would you like to know more about the Jacksonville Church of Christ? She said, I sure would. I just so happen to have these little booklets here. Honey, grab the Bibles. Back to the Bible, book 1, and we started, and she loved it. She knew more about the Bible than I realized. In fact, when I said John 8:32, she turned right to it. Oh, I know what that verse says. And we did that Bible study. Rob, I didn't know. I'm not so sure I understood that Old New Testament stuff like I do now. I said, well, that's great. Can we do a second study? She said, well, sure. And we did the second study. And then we did the third study. And when we got to the third study, I got to tell you about this because something happened that's probably never going to happen again in my lifetime. We got to Mark 16:16. And Miss Bettina, I said, could you read Mark 16:16 for me? And she said, oh, yeah, I know that verse. My pastor explained it to me. I said, well, tell me what it says, Bettina. He that believes is saved and then baptized. Bettina, would you read Mark 16:16 for me? She said, oh, yeah, he that believes is saved and then baptized. King James. Rob, is there something wrong with what I'm doing? I said, Bettina, I need you to read it like one word at a time. Can you do that? Oh, yes. He that believes and is baptized shall. He that believes is baptized. Rob, that is not what my pastor told me that verse said. I said, I know. I just keep studying. What do you think she did? When she came out of the water and we were getting ready to take her back to her home, I said, Bettina, I got a question. I had a sneaky suspicion that you might be connected with a Church of Christ in your past. She said, oh, well, no, Rob, I was a Baptist. I said, all right. I said, but I did, in my last town, I was visiting the Church of Christ. I said, you were? I said, well, Bettina, where was that? Oh, Hatchie, I don't know where that's at. And she said, now, Rob, she says, I went to that church every Sunday. I said, you did? I said, Bettina, you probably didn't go very long. What, a few weeks? Nope. A few months? Nope. 6 years. 6 years. Bettina, while you went every Sunday for 6 years, can you tell me, did anyone in that church offer to do a Bible study? Nope, no study. But they were real nice, you know. They talked to me all the time. Six years. We have people sitting in our pews for 6 years and no one does a Bible study, but we'll talk to them, don't worry. Sometimes I think there are churches that just deserve to die. There is no life in them whatsoever. About 6 months after that baptism, I don't know where I was. Rebecca Pearson called me. Hey, Rob, I'm at Bettina's. I said, what's going on, Rebecca? She says, Rob, I'm shaking her, but she's not responding. And I said, well, what's going on? Rob, she's blue. Rob, I think something's wrong. I said, well, Rebecca called 911, and she did. She didn't make it. Aren't you glad she still wasn't going to Ohatchee? because she would have been lost. You need to learn as a church what to do with visitors. A study was done recently by Barna, and Barna does a study among religious groups. So this isn't just members of the church, it's just religion in general. And the question really caught my attention because here it was. What is the number one thing visitors want when they walk into a church? I'm going to let this be interactive. All right, I want to, what's the number? They want to be greeted, okay? That's one guess. And now those of you who've heard this seminar, don't spoil it for others. All right, so what's the number one thing that visitors want when they walk into the church building? Anybody else have a guess? Greeted is that's one guess. Anybody else? What do they want? A goodie bag. They want a goodie bag. Well, I'm all for goodies, especially if it has cookies. Anybody else? Yes, sir. Left alone. All right, they want to be left alone. Well, you're getting close. Do you know what the number one thing a visitor wants when they walk into your church building? To sit down. They want to sit. They do not want the welcome wagon. They do not want to be surrounded by a bunch of church members. They do not want 20 questions. They don't want the Spanish Inquisition. They just want to sit down. So let them. Let them sit down. I mean, I want them to sit down. And so one of the things that we try to train our church members is let visitors sit down. When they sit down, what are we going to do? We're going to train church members what to do. We're going to have families that are selected in the local church, and their job are visitors. Brother, you are real social, so your job are visitors. Every Sunday morning, when you see a visitor, here's what I want you to do. I want you and your wife to go up and sit either in front or behind them. Don't sit on the same pew, and don't hover over them like a vulture. Sit down. Relax. Are you visiting this morning? Yeah. My name is Rob, but what's your name? Drew. We're glad you're here and with your families. Are you visiting from the community, Drew? It's gold. It's what I wanted. As soon as I find out they're visiting from the community, I'm getting my visitor bag. Now, right now, my wife is teaching your ladies shopping in the name of the Lord. Ladies love to shop. And she's going to teach them how to do visitor bags. And we're going to create bags that have information about the church, maybe a little mug that says Oak Hill Church of Christ, a pen, a pencil, a breath mints, a tablet of paper, a little Bible, a tract. Man, we're so glad you're, hey, we've got this little bag we give to visitors. It's just a way of us saying thank you for coming. And maybe have some things in there for your children. Oh, by the way, our church likes to handwrite cards thanking people for coming. Would it be okay if I got your address? Now, I'm not going to hand him the card and have him fill it out. I'm going to fill it out. And I'm not going to do this. Now, if there's any visitors among us this morning, grab the visitor card off the back side of the pew, fill it out, and put it in the collection plate. Our members don't even do that. The visitors aren't going to do it either. You're going to miss half of them. So I'm going to get that information. And that afternoon, you know what I'm going to text him. I've done this at Jacksonville since I've been there. I'm going to send a text. Hey, just want to let you know we're glad you visited today. That's all I'm going to do. Nothing more. We're going to give it to our card teams. We're going to overwhelm them with cards and say thank you for visiting. Not one card with 20 signatures. Every church has a man that's a penny pincher. He said, well, you know, it's expensive to send 20 cards. We could do one card and 20 people could sign it. Don't listen to him. He'll ruin the ministry. You send 20 cards. Whatever your team is, overwhelm them with love. And be strategic. Send 5 Monday, 5 Tuesday, 5 Wednesday, 5 Thursday, 5 Friday, and every day mailbox, they got cards from Oak Hill. Man, that church really cares. I don't want a form letter from the secretary. It's better than nothing, but not much. You can't hire this out. You get everybody involved. And you make sure those visitors know that they were welcome and they're loved, and you just overwhelm them with that love. You know what they might do? They might come back. I got back for about a 3-week trip, and it was this year, and we had a new preacher. His name's Keith Ritchie. Keith is, man, he's a great guy. Love him. He doesn't know a member from a visitor. You know, he's brand new. So I'm kind of looking, you know, and I saw this couple come in, and kind of a young couple. They got like a 1-year-old with them. I walked up to one of the members and said, who is that back there? I don't know, Rob. They've been visiting while you've not been here. I said, has anybody given him the bag? No. My blood pressure went up 5 points right there. I went up to somebody. I said, hey, who is that? Rob, I don't know. I think his name might be, I said, Lindsay or something. I'm not, Cam, I don't know, Rob. Has anybody got the information? No, Rob, my blood pressure went up 5 more points. So I just walked back up there and I said, hey, ma'am, sir. I said, my name's Rob. I'm just one of the members here. I said, you guys visiting? Yeah, we've been visiting for a couple of weeks. I said, well, I've been out of town. I'm sorry I missed you. I said, you guys in the community? Yeah, we just live down the street. I said, well, man, we're glad. I said, what do you think about this church? Well, man, I kind of like this church. We're real nice people here. And I said, well, great. I said, we're glad you're. I tell you what, we got this little bag. I grabbed one, you know, and I gave it to him. And I said, it's got some items in it for your family. And you got a 1-year-old. Yeah. I said, hey, do you mind if I get some information? We'd like to send you some cards. Oh, yeah. Cameron, Lindsay, got the address, got the phone number. And I looked over here and there's Keith. Keith doesn't know they're visitors. I just walked over to Keith. I said, Keith, I said, you got a visitor right here. I said, now, here's what I'd suggest. I said, go over and introduce yourself to them and say, I'm the new preacher. They're new, you're new, take them out to eat. I said, invite them to dinner. And I said, you know what to do after that. So Keith went up, he started talking to him, and he said, hey guys, I'm new here. You guys are new. Would you like to go out to dinner and we could talk a little bit? They said, yeah, that'd be great. That Sunday afternoon, I get a text from Keith. You know what he said? He said, Rob, we got a Bible study set up for Thursday. 3 weeks later, we baptized them. Last week, we took them out to dinner. Sunday, I was standing back there in that little portico you have right there. Keith sent me a picture of another family that showed up on Sunday. He said, Rob, we gave them a visitor bag. We just took them out to eat. I got the Bible study set up for Tuesday. Brethren, it's that easy. We baptized 11 people this year. 4 of the people we baptized are because of visitor bags. We just got, if we don't get their contact information, brethren, there's no way we can set up the Bible studies. Eric's class is full of new converts. And we love it, don't we? There's Cameron and Lindsay and Keith. Beautiful sight, isn't it? You can do it too. Brethren, this year I've been in congregations all over this country. I've been in the large ones and small ones. Sometimes I walk into congregations unawares. In other words, they don't know it's me. I'm just visiting. I'm on my way back home and I don't have any place to go. It's a Sunday night, so I walk with my family and I sit down. And I'm just waiting. Kind of like a laboratory for me. I'm just waiting. I wait, and tonight I don't want to embarrass anybody, but I'm talking about some of the most prestigious congregations in our brotherhood. Not one person says a word to me. If I owned a company, like an insurance agency, and a customer walked in to my insurance agent, and then they walked out, and I went up to my agent, I said, who was that? Don't know. Did you get their information? Forgot. I'd fire you. That's inexcusable in the Church of Christ. But it's happening all over the place. We need their contact information. I need to know names. I need to know addresses. I need to know phone numbers. I need to know how to get to them. Because if we don't collect that as a church, we may never see them again. I want to keep pressing this issue because I want this to be real. I'm not going to tell you when or where, even what state. I went to a congregation, and it was a congregation that could have seated 1,500 people. At one time, probably had 1,000 people in it. They were down to 100. And they said, Rob, we need to help. And I said, all right, I'm coming in. So we did the seminar, and I'm trying to train the church, and I'm sitting with the elders. We're sitting in this meeting with the elders. And I said, hey, brethren, I noticed on Sunday morning you had a visiting family, had like 4 or 5 children. The church was really nice to them, and they were going up and, talking to them. You could tell they were congenial. I mean, members of the church are usually very kind people. I said, you guys did a good job. I said, what were the names? Carl? Bob? Not sure. Where did they live? Oh, it was A Street. No, it was C Street. No, it was Northwest Street. Now I know why they're 100. You mean you're going to let a family like that walk into your church and you have no idea how to contact them? It's got to be organized, by the way. That's not none of this is at large. You can't make an announcement in the bulletin. You can't say, well, we need someone. If someone could just volunteer, brethren, you're enlisted. There is no volunteering. We're going to walk right up to you and say, this is your job. And your elders ought to do it. The elders ought to look out among the sheep and say, this family is good family for selecting visitors. But you know, there are some members in the church, we don't want you greeting visitors. We'd rather you not. We'd rather you just sit down, all right, and somebody else will greet the visitors. But, you know, elders, they know this. You know, that's their job. What about meals? What about taking people out to eat? We ought to never allow a visitor to walk into our church without a meal invitation. Hey, could we take you to eat this morning? I mean, it ought to be automatic. And when a visitor, I mean, that doesn't mean they're going to do it, but if they go out to eat, oh, man, you're halfway around the plate. I mean, you're rounding the basis. Because now you have an opportunity to really get to know them. So use meals, use digital media. I mean, you got to have a website that's up to date and works well. And I know here at Oak Hill you do, but there's a lot of churches. If I typed in their information, I couldn't find them if I wanted to. Brother, do you know how I know that? Because when I'm traveling, I'm looking, and I go to their webpage, I can't find a phone number or an address. I mean, these are fundamental. You know, house to house, by the way, will help you, won't we, Brother Ron? We will help you. We'll set up a web page for you. We'll make sure that information is out there and ready to use. We're going to do community outreach. We're not going to do weenie rows. We're going to have something that, you know, kind of catches their attention. I mean, we're going to do something like alligator sausage, and we're going to do shrimp boils, and we're corn on the cob. We're going to try to do something to bring people in. Now, we're not just doing it to have a good old meal. We're doing it because I want contacts. And so when people sit down and begin to eat, do you know what I'm going to do? And let me show you what I'm not going to do. Let me illustrate what we don't do at these community events. Hey, my name's Rob. What's your name? Andrew, good to have you here. Hey, my name's Rob. What's your name? Oh, Jared, we're so glad you're here. Well, what's your name? My name's Rob. What's your name? You know what that's called? Worthless. Here's what we're going to do. Hey, my name's Rob. What's your name? May I sit with you? And I'm going to sit down, and I'm going to converse with that man for 30 minutes. Before I leave, I'm going to have his cell phone number, and that night I'm going to text him, and I'm going to say, man, it was great to see you, and I'm going to try to do everything I can to find common ground. We can meet together, and I can get to know him, because my goal is a Bible study. That's what I'm going to do. So I'm not opposed to community outreach as long as evangelistic. Reach souls. There are so many opportunities to make contacts. Let's look at our chart together. Let's just suppose you put all your effort in a local church trying to reach Christians. So most churches have non-Christians sitting in their pews. They come every Sunday, Sunday night. And so we're going to make a concerted. In fact, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go into the elder's office. We're going to grab the whiteboard, and we're going to make a list of every non-Christian that sits in our pews at least once a month. And then we're going to, as the shepherds and preachers and deacons of that church, we're going to make a concerted effort to get to them. Then we're going to focus on our compassion cards. We're going to have teams. It's going to be strategic. We're going to have a contact list. It's going to be full of sinners. And we're going to call upon the church to make an all-out effort to get to them. Then we're going to go after the visitors. We're going to have a strategic plan. We're actually going to train members how to do this. So I'm not going to go up to you and say, now I want you to greet all the... No, I'm going to sit down for an hour. We're going to talk about how we're going to organize it. Then we're going to make an all-out effort to go door knocking. We're going to at least do that once a year, if not once a month. Then we're going to make an all-out effort with house to house, heart to heart. We're going to do it every month. We're going to flood the community with it. Then we're going to go over here to new movers, and we're going to visit, 5, 10, 15 new movers a month. Then we're going to make sure our digital media is up to speed. And we're going to have the most evangelistic, benevolent ministry the church has ever seen. If you make an all-out effort and you baptize maybe one or two of those non-Christians in the pew, you baptize a couple people with the cards, you baptize a couple people with house to house, you baptize a few people with your benevolent ministry, and you even baptize people with your digital ministry. You said, oh, Rob, no one's going to come because of digital ministry. Tell that to Dre, Connor, and Teresa that we just baptized. You know why they came? Because they heard Keith on the radio. Literally. He walked in the door and I said, man, we've got some, hey, my name's Rob. He said, my name's my wife, Teresa. I said, hey guys, what brought you here this morning? Oh, we heard your preacher on the radio. Thought we'd come visit. We baptized them. That right there is going to produce baptisms. See, that's an all-out effort. All hands on deck. Are you going to do this tomorrow? No. It will take you time. It takes time to turn a ship, to do all this. But friends, may I remind you that Ephesians chapter 3, verses 9 and 10, it says, to this intent and now unto principalities and powers in heavenly places, it might be made known by the church the manifold wisdom of God according to his eternal purpose. Isn't it the purpose of the church to make known to the world the manifold wisdom of God? That is our mission. Every ounce of effort and energy to this. You've got to get participation. I mean, we've got to involve everyone in the congregation, from the youngest to the oldest, in evangelism. The Bible says in 1 Corinthians 12 and 14, for the body is not one member but many. Get them all involved. You don't have a choice. If you're a member of this church, you're in the evangelism ministry. Now, you don't have to do a Bible study. Michael will take care of the Bible study. There are others that will do that, but we need your help. There is something that you can do, and we're going to find it. Maybe you can write a card. Maybe you can basket. Maybe you can just go help us pick up the items for the basket, but something. We need a little skin in the game. We need everybody invested. I'm going to spend about 2 minutes here because this right here, this is hot. How many of you raise your hands if you've heard the name of Larry Acuff? Raise your hand. Larry Acuff is a soul winner. So Larry Acuff calls me about 2 years ago and he says, hey, Rob, can you come do an evangelism seminar? I said, Larry Acuff, you don't need me to do an evangelism seminar. I said, you could come do an evangelism seminar where I'm at. He said, no, he says, I want you to come teach us. I said, okay. I mean, he's a soul winner. And I've learned a lot from Larry Acuff through the years. And that man at 80 years old has more energy than some of our 20-year-olds getting out of school. And so I go over to the church there, and we're doing the seminar. And he said, hey, Rob, you got some time where I could visit with you? I said, sure. He says, come over here to my office. So I sit down, and he gives me this little bookmark. It says 10 souls, 10 souls. I said, what is this? He said, I've been doing this since I've been in my early 20s. I said, what are you doing, Larry? He says, why, every year I pass these bookmarks out and I ask the church members to write down the list, on that bookmark, a list of people that they know that are not Christians that they want to convert. He says, then all year long, I refer to it. Get out your bookmark. What have you done to reach the sinners? What have you done to cultivate that? How can we help you get to them? I do it all year long. He says, we baptize 7, 8, 10 of those every year. So what we did at house to house is we made the bookmark. Now we've taken it to another level. So I want to suggest this. This is really working in the churches. Now, brethren, this is probably the best minute you're going to get tonight of this seminar. I want you to pass that bookmark out to every single person in the pew on Sunday morning, Michael, on Sunday morning, as they walk in. Then I want you to ask your church members to write down 10 people they want to convert that are not Christians. And then I want you to preach a sermon from John chapter 4, and I'll provide the sermon, and I want you to look at that church and say, the fields are wide into harvest. Tell them how to reach them, and say, now on page 105, I'm giving you the page number, on page 105 of this book, we've got a list of 35 categories of people we're looking for. So if you got somebody on that list that's got cancer right now, I want their name. If you got somebody on that list right now recovering from COVID, I want their name. If you got somebody that's lost a loved one, I want their name. You got somebody that's down, I want their name. And I'm going to take the name from the individual bookmark, and I'm going to place them on the congregational list. Remember the contact list? And we're going to bring to bear the power of the entire church of Christ on those people. You won't have to do it alone. The church is going to overwhelm them with love. We're going to mow their lawns, bring them the bucket, order pizza. We're going to flood them with cards. We're going to visit them. We're going to send flowers. We're going to go out of our way for 4 weeks. We're going to prospect those names. Do you know what that's going to do to this church? That's going to turn you upside down, right side up. That right there. Now, anybody like numbers? You guys out here that like numbers, watch these numbers. You pass out 100 bookmarks. Stay with me. You want to write this down because this is good stuff. Because this is what we're seeing in our school. I'm going to give you numbers. You pass out 100 bookmarks. Every bookmark has 10 people. What number do you got now? 100 times 10. What do you got? You got 1,000. Through the year, I'm going to lowball the number. 20% of those people are going to become eligible to get on your contact list. It's called windows of opportunity. What's 20% of 1,000? 200. Everybody with me so far? Now you got 200 prospects. Before we started, you had nothing. You had 0 contacts. We went from 0 contacts to 1,000 contacts. We went from 0 prospects. Now you got 200 prospects. Of those 200 prospects, you're going to overwhelm them with love and kindness. 10% of those are going to turn into Bible studies. What's 10% of 200? We have a 90% conversion rate in our Bible studies when they complete back to the Bible. What's 90% of 20? That's 18 baptisms. Chew on those numbers just a little bit. Don't let anybody tell you that you cannot evangelize in this country. A simple bookmark, by engaging the church. By the way, do you know who your worst contact maker is in this church? It's Michael. Because he's the preacher. And the preacher is surrounded by elders and secretaries and deacons. He's surrounded by the greatest people on the face of this earth. And we love it, don't we, Michael? But you know who the best contact creators are? You are. Because you work with sinners. Because you go to school with them. Because you see them every day. Because you play ball with them. You are a treasure trove of contacts. Harness the contacts in your church, prospect them, and do Bible study. And brethren, you'll turn the church into an evangelistic machine. It's exciting. And you won't ask the preacher to do it all by himself. And by the way, when one of those baptisms comes from one of the bookmarks of one of your widows out there, that one's mine. You solved a lot of problems right there. That's the North Jefferson Church of Christ in Mount Pleasant, 17 baptisms since March. That's where they're coming from. Chris Grota called me. He calls me every week. When he calls me, it's an hour. And he loves it. He said, Rob, the best part of what we're doing is I'm not doing it. The members are. The members are. Preachers, does that not sound good to you? The members are doing it. Make evangelism the most important work of the church. Nothing else is more important than evangelism. So in every elders meeting you have, before you talk about the leaky roof, before you talk about the carpet that needs to be cleaned, before you talk about the pews that need to be reupholstered, before you talk about the electronic systems that are messed up, talk about souls. Talk about people who are lost. How can I reach them? What can we do? Get yourself a whiteboard and make a list of all the lost and strategize. I mentioned earlier today that we made a list and we had 4 on our list. We baptized every one of them because we made them our targets. And we brought out everything we had to get to them. Number 9, publicize your mission from the pulpit. Don't hide it under a bushel. Talk about it. Elders should be getting up before the church. They say, everybody in the church, pull out your bookmark. Everybody look at your bookmark. Stare at your bookmark. I'll give you 30 seconds to read the names quietly. Now, what have you done this past week to get to them? Is there anybody on the list that we can put on our congregational list? Can you see the interaction now? We're working together. It's not robotic. It's not formal. All right, do this, after the amen of the closing prayer. Now talk to the church about soul winning. Engage your soldiers and pray about it. Brethren, pray about it. It's the most thing you're going to do on the entire list. You ought to be praying about souls. You ought to be praying for the church. And it's okay to mention them by name. There were times at Willette, I'd look back up there and I'd say, turn that internet off, I need to talk. I just want to do some in-house talking. And just pray about people. Pray about the lost. I remember at Jacksonville, I've been there about 6 months, and somebody said, Rob, could you lead the closing prayer? And I said, sure. So I got up to lead the closing prayer, and I prayed for Jerry Conley. People were coming, who's Jerry Conley? He's only been sitting in your pews for the past year. He married one of our sisters. I prayed for him. Now, he wasn't in the pew. I wouldn't have done that to embarrass him, but he's not there. I'm going to pray for the man. I'm going to pray that we can reach him. I'm going to remind us all that we have an obligation to reach Jerry Conley, and we did. No, there's nothing wrong with doing that. Brethren, thank you for giving your time tonight. You've been very patient. I've laid out a 10-point plan. There's a lot of detail in that plan. There's no way that you're going to carry this out of this church building and be able to put all that together. So we have a 52-week curriculum. It's taken us 3 years to put it together. About a month ago, we finished it. And so when a church enrolls in our school, we bring our seminar to that church, guess what you're the 52-week curriculum. And for 52 weeks, I'm going to spoon feed you this entire strategy point by point. And we're going to slowly but surely turn the ship and develop an evangelistic culture in the local church from A to Z. And you'll never be the same. It'll be the most exciting thing you've ever done. You'll see a church wake up and rally around the cross and make seeking and saving the lost the mission of the church. God bless you. Thank you.